169 San means we got shots fired 4:15 a at the Route 291. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red at 169 San Easy. Have shots.
179 San Easy is coming from upstairs in the Mandalay Bay. Upstairs in Mandalay Bay, halfway up. I see the shots coming from Mandalay Bay. Halfway up. Control 361 IC. We have multiple 415A break. Give me a surge. We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the whereabouts.
Shots fired from Mandalay Bay. There's many people down. Stage left. Just be advised.
Welcome back to the Brian Podcast Show. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm here with Rob Diggity Dangle Dog.
Dangling as always.
I'm the delicious Nickalicious, or
always
as
delicious.
We've got a good buddy from school that we didn't think listened to the show, and he wrote me this week a text message. He's on Wall Street and doesn't talk to people like us anymore.
On Wall Street.
And he said, I'm surprised you've never introduced yourself as the Nickalicious Dickalicious or something like that. So if we want to go with that for now,
There you go.
I'm the Dickalicious.
The Dickless Nickalicious.
Dickless Nicholas. That's what my brothers called me when I was little because I have an inverted penis. He doesn't have one like us. It's up inside of him. It's like,
Why's he got two belly buttons, Dad?
why's he got a cave between his legs? Got bats in there? As you may have heard from the beginning of this episode, this is going to be one of our most anticipated episodes. I do believe that with my whole heart. We are covering the Mandalay Bay Route 91 Vegas shooting.
Vegas.
Stephen Paddock. This is one of the worst humans to ever grace the face of the planet. I don't know how much comedy we're going to be able to squeeze out of this one. Whew. I don't lose a lot of sleep over stuff, Rob. I've lost a lot of sleep over the research on this one.
Right.
I called you in the middle of the week. I said, they've scrubbed everything from the internet. There's nothing on YouTube. Everything on YouTube is Fox News, ABC News, all that stuff. There's nothing. If you Google false flag Vegas shooting, nothing comes back. Some stuff comes back, but it's all like run-of-the-mill mainstream media stuff. There's nothing.
Right.
There's no alternative theories. There's no conspiracy theories to go off of. So I literally had to piece together stuff from all over the internet. I had to go to really dark places at the internet before.
I feel like whenever this happened, there definitely was a lot of stuff that was talked about that was,
There's a lot of misinformation, and we're probably going to use some of that misinformation in this episode, I would imagine.
Right.
But the places that it took me, like, I've been on the internet before. I seen a guy get fucked by a horse and die.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I've seen girls shove Coke bottles up their assholes. I saw an Aborigine guy shave his nutsack with a shark tooth one time.
Oh.
But never have I gone to the depths of what I had to go to find all this stuff.
Isn't it funny how easy it is to find that other stuff? But
right, like, guy shaves nuts with shark tooth. Oh, yeah, that's right here. Before we go any further, I would like to thank our new Patreon subscribers, starting off with Mr. Oliver King. Oliver, you have all of our love, Oliver.
Hey, I like that. And then we got Rest Stop Scott. He's the guy in the yellow wife beater at the truck stop you can buy crank from.
Hop in. This dick ain't gonna jerk itself. Thank you, Rest Stop Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Mike Otto or Otto. I don't know. I like both of them.
Let's go Otto.
Mikey, thanks for your Patreon pledge.
We got Clint coming in next. Not Clit, but Clint.
Thank you, Clint.
Sir.
And one of our most faithful listeners, Katerina Kegel. She sent my wife and I like a hanging wreath for our like a welcome to the Nickalicious house. She handmade it.
Nice.
And she sent my wife a card just saying, thanks for putting up with these guys' bullshit while they make us laugh. It was a really thoughtful gesture.
That's sweet.
Thank you, Catalina Wine Mixer.
And then we got Josh Dillon. Thank you, sir.
Cody Carpenter. Cody, I love you. You're like a brother to me. I appreciate you, bruh.
Then we got a fun name here. Simonetta George. Salmonella George.
Salmonella George. Thank you, Miss George. I love your first name.
Look at you, this next to that last name.
Tyler Sepulveda. I think I nailed it.
Yeah.
Tyler Sepulveda, thank you so much for your generous Patreon pledge. And for any of you out there thinking, how do you get your name? How do you get the shout out at the beginning of the episode? Well, it's really easy. Go to patreon.com/Ohio Podcast.
You know you want to.
$1 pledge, shout you out. $5 pledge, you get access to the premium content, Bro Talk. All of it.
We're severely past due for another one of those, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Before I get to the article this week, Stacy woke me up last night. I just fall asleep. Usually when your wife wakes you up right when you fall asleep, it's because they're like, I was thinking, and then they want to talk about something.
Yeah.
Something that it's not gonna end well. But she woke me up with a really good question last night, and I want to propose this question to you.
Okay.
She said, how do you think the very first blowjob in the history of all mankind went down?
I would have to assume it was the guy's idea.
You think so?
Yeah.
Then woke up and I slobber in my face. I'm like, I'd like to know what they fucking sucked on before they got to the wiener. Before they decided, hey,
lick my knuckle.
It feels good to suck on this wiener. Just put the belly button in their mouth and just.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I get a lot of cheese in my belly button, though. I wouldn't be sucking on people's belly buttons.
Imagine the first person that figured out how to have a baby.
The first person that cummed ever.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember I was 4 when I cummed for the first time.
Man, good for you.
Might have been 5. I don't know. Fantastic day. They wouldn't let me sit on the Easter Bunny's lap anymore, though. So soft. Oh, man, I got a really funny article this week. It was the first one I clicked on this week, and
I was scanning over a little bit.
The quote of this guy, yeah. I can't even fucking do it, man. This is
great.
A 29-year-old man was convicted Wednesday of sneaking into the home of a Seal Beach woman, cool place,
I know, right?
to suck her toes and exposing himself to a jail guard and a woman in separate incidents. Richard Michael Parkhurst was convicted of 1 felony burglary count and 3 misdemeanors, 1 count of peeking into an inhabited building, and 2 counts of indecent exposure.
It's always the guys with the 2 first names.
Yeah, thank you.
Every time.
Jurors deadlocked on a felony count of assault with the intent to commit a sex offense. That count was dismissed by prosecutors. On October 15th, 2017, Parkhurst exposed himself to a woman who was walking her dog in Seal Park, remarking to her, "Nice dog," before adding, "I'm walking mine too." Got his dick out, shaking at it. "Hey, lady, nice dog. I'm walking mine too." It's a schnauzer. On the same day, he snuck into a woman's residence. She was sleeping on her couch and woke up when she realized he was sucking on her toes, according to prosecutors who said DNA evidence linked him to that crime. On October 16, 2017, Parkhurst was peeking through a mail slot of a home in the same city 2 days after he passed by the residence and remarked that the resident's girlfriend was attractive. Oh, what a fucking creepazoid, man. While Parkhurst was in custody that day, a guard at the Seal Beach jail caught him touching himself while staring at prosecutors said. Prosecutors alleged he also passed a perverse note to a jail guard.
Man, this guy doesn't quit.
I'm a go hard. I'm a go hard.
Good for him.
Yeah. Parkhurst's attorney said in court papers that the defendant was homeless at the time. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
"I ain't eaten in 3 weeks. I'm gonna suck the corn out of your fucking toes." When his girlfriend died, he lost his home and stopped taking medicine for schizophrenia, according to the attorney, who said Parkhurst, quote, began hearing voices emanating from his television. That happens.
Show her your wiener.
Yeah. "Hey, you see that lady out there walking her dog? Go fuck the dog."
I always knew Steve Harvey was a bad influence.
He said the TV was telling him to do things before he was hospitalized at one point. Quote, "Mr. Parkhurst developed a delusion that he was a Zeus-like god who was sent down from the stars to seduce women."
Amen, brother. Me and you both.
Oh, man. Some chicks like it having their Piggly Wiggly sucked on.
Piggly Wigglies?
Definitely not, not if you're flying down the Nicolicious Street, you're stopping at the get your toes sucked on store, they're closed. I'm not sucking on any toes, okay? I just think about that time my mom was chasing me through the yard in sandals, trying to, wrangle me up to get inside, and her
right.
flip-flops flew off, and she stepped in a big old pile of dog shit.
That'll do it.
I don't like...
You just thought, let me get that for you, mama.
Yeah. "Oh, yeah, get over here, baby girl. God damn." That's the nastiest shit, dude. I can't do feet.
Your poor mom.
Yeah, she's given up on me.
I think so.
Written me out of the will.
Right.
I'm not going to get all my dad's RC cars in the basement.
Oh, damn it.
Or his fishing poles. Oh, so like we said, this is going to be one of our biggest episodes to date, I do believe. Chris Watts was a big one. You guys really dig it when we do the more just you would like to check us out on YouTube, you can do that now. Just Google, just go to YouTube, type in Brohio, coming to you in perfect 1080p. I think that's what it is. It could be 4K, but I don't want to do that to my computer. You can look us up. All of the episodes are available. You can see us. They can see us right now talking.
If you feel like ruining the appeal of our voices, by seeing our faces, go ahead.
Rob is wearing a fucking alien thought screen helmet.
I am.
It's got crack wool hanging off the side of it. Chore boy, I think that's what it's called. I remember that when I worked at the police department.
Okay.
Stuff you stuff crack pipes with is called chore boy.
Always got to have it handy, man.
Oh my God. We got a lot of cats down here. They're jumping.
Freaked.
Yeah, she jumped a little bit. They're fighting over the food. We only feed them once a month.
I can tell they're empty right now.
Man.
They're fighting over the last kibble.
All right. So like I said, Rob, let's get to the topic. Let's get to the subject at hand. Or as I always like to say, let's get to the meat and potatoes, the franks and beans of this episode right here, okay? I have never, ever, in the entire 2 years we've done this, been as heated and emotional doing research as what this week has brought me. We've researched dead babies. We've researched crackheads. We've researched brothers and sisters and moms and dads that all fucked each other. Hey. None of that stuff bothered me. Sometimes the Chris Watts thing, that got to me a lot.
Yeah, that guy was an asshole.
John Bonet, that one, well...
There's some time passed between that it still was a shitty thing, but
yeah,
this is still pretty fresh.
It is very fresh. And the narrative has changed so many different times with this thing that there's no way to call the correct way when it comes to talking about the Las Vegas shooting, the Mandalay massacre, whatever you want to call it. My fucking heart goes out to everyone that lost someone that night, everyone that was affected by this event. In no terms do we mean to disgrace what happened there. And that's what I'm saying, is it's going to be hard to find humor in this episode. He's got a really weird brother. He's got two really weird brothers. One's a fucking kid toucher. The other one's just a weirdo. So maybe we can find...
in the family.
It is in the family. Now, the subject here, and I don't know why I have Michael Paddock written down right here, because his name's Stephen Paddock. So my notes are already all fucked up right from Jump Street.
Oh, well.
He lived in Mesquite, Nevada, which was a retirement village. He was formerly he was an auditor for the whatchamacallit, the IRS, the people that are taking all the fucking money right now. He's twice divorced, and he had a longtime partner named Mary Lou Danley. And you may have heard of Mary Lou Danley. She was the Filipino woman that he was kind of had this long-term relationship with whenever he committed these acts. But she wasn't the only one that he was dealing with, because he really liked them fucking nasty call girls there in Las Vegas.
Who doesn't?
Speaking of call girls, apparently they've got video of the Patriots owner getting his dick sucked by a Chinese chick.
Good for him.
Here's my thing, buddy. His wife passed away. He's 64, 65, however, 70, however old he is.
He's old.
He's just out there getting it in. He's trying to get his
let him sling that thing, man.
Let that weasel run free. He was only in there for 14 minutes the second time. Got his dick sucked and got out. 14 minutes is pretty good.
He's not a clinger.
Some guys, we talk about it on the Brohio podcast, Butt Chuggers Anonymous closed group, which you can get into the closed group with the super secret password, Bill Wilkins. There's guys on there, they'll start talking about blowjobs, and some guys are like, I've never got off from a blowjob before. I'm like, motherfucker, you are a straight liar. That, or you have been letting your mom suck your dick your entire life, and a little weird for you, you know?
It sounds like a humble brag.
It is. And I used to try that trick with my wife all the time. Like, hey, I've never had one of those before. She's like, I just did it last month. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't count as like ever having one. That's different. That doesn't work, guys. Especially in the Butt Chuggers Anonymous. There's some women in there that can take care of themselves. They don't need you crowding up on them, telling them about your little wiener, because We all know that every listener of the Brohio podcast has a little wiener. Whether you're man, woman, cat, dog, we've all got little wieners. Because we're all one. There's one Brohio nation.
Right.
With a little wiener.
I'm sure the average is little.
I have no idea. I know Chinese people have really small penises.
2.5 inch average.
In China?
No, amongst all of our listeners.
Oh, that's not very good.
It's true
even
story.
for my standards.
You heard it here. From the mouth of the Rob Dog.
Well, if you have a huge dick, send it to the Snapchat at Brohio Podcast. That's that's mostly Rob Dog.
Give me that.
Yeah, he accepts all
Lay
the
it on
Snapchats.
me, Daddy.
Back to old Stephen Paddock. He was well known in the gambling circle down there. He was constantly doing some high stake, and here's our first opportunity to make fun of this fucking guy. High stakes video poker.
Ooh, not even the real thing.
What is that? What's video poker? Man, I don't know. You would think and that was the thing of whenever all this stuff kicked off. It's like the people that are there's professional gamblers. That's what they do. They just gamble. I remember whenever we graduated high school, that was the big turn of Texas Hold'em. There was Chris Moneymaker and Doyle Brunson. All those guys were, real big in the media and stuff. There's like it's like a brotherhood. They're not really a brotherhood, but everyone knows one another. And they had never heard of this guy because he didn't go to the tables. He didn't play poker. He just set the fucking video poker machines, and that's what he did.
It was just one of those like little Tiger handheld games.
Yeah.
He would sit there and play.
Blackjack. Wrong game, dickhead. I think casinos, I've never gone to a casino until I was probably about 25. It was the first time I went to a casino.
Sounds about right. Yeah, for me too.
And it was one of the most miserable places I've ever seen in my entire life.
Definitely.
And some of our listeners from the West Coast, their first trip to a casino was probably at somewhere in Las Vegas. In Ohio now they have a couple casinos, but before that, the only way you could go to a casino was a riverboat in Indiana. And when I say riverboat, it's literally just a huge fucking building they've built on the water. They call it a riverboat. I think it was floating. I don't know. But
partially.
And you would go in there and there's just like people. There's people in wheelchairs, half dead. They would have to be, these people had to be plugged into the wall in order to work. I don't even know if they're alive or not. They're just like,
that's still, even when you go to the real nice ones, that's all it is. It's all the senior citizens. Yeah.
Yeah. In Indiana, they can smoke still. Yeah. And I went to the Motor City Casino in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm really lucky to escape my fucking life on that one. What a shithole. People joke about Detroit. Man, that was a piece of shit city. Nice people, tremendously nice people.
Yeah.
Love our listeners from Detroit, but goddamn that city.
But your city fucking sucks.
We were at the crosswalk, and I don't mean anything derogatory by this. This is just what it is. And there was a cop directing traffic in the middle of the intersection.
Mm-hmm.
There was 3 black guys 40 or 50 feet away from this cop. They had a can of spray paint, and they were spray painting the word boot lip on a wall.
Boot lip?
Yes, on a wall. Just like, and this cop just like, he's directing traffic. He's just like, man, shit.
They ain't hurting nobody.
I don't even fucking care.
They ain't hurting
they
nobody.
ain't smoking weed. I don't care. He was watching them. He was just shaking his head, and they're just like,
maybe he was boot lip.
and I said, what the fuck is this place? Is this RoboCop? What is this? Judge Dredd?
It's just the Wild West.
It's Detroit, man.
Right.
And I was there to see Three Doors Down, if that tells you.
In Detroit?
Yeah.
Woo.
I was the only person there. My wife and I. It was an acoustic concert, too. It was really a fucking drag. They were terrible in concert. Dave Grohl from Three Doors Down, if you're listening, well, you fucking suck, dude. That's the worst live performance. All right, back to the. We're going to start with the timeline first. Stephen Paddock, he arrived nearly a week prior to the incident. So when he arrived at the hotel, it was nearly a week before all of the murders took place. The murders themselves took place on October 1st of 2017, right around between 10 and midnight. He arrived and checked in on September 25th. He asked for a high-level suite overlooking the Route 91 Harvest Festival. He didn't move into the 32nd floor, room 135, where he committed the acts until the night before the attack. He was given the room for free. He received a lot of comps. He received a lot of free meals, free rooms, and his brother spoke very candidly recently in a documentary called #Vegas Wrong. And I did not ask for the permission to play this trailer, but I'm going to play it anyways. It's an interview with his brother, the one that's not a fucking kid toucher.
Okay.
He's the really weird nut job. And apparently he had the year leading up to the specific incident, he had spent, I think he had lost close to $2 million in gamblings. That's a lot of money, but that's a lot of money. But apparently that was not a lot of money to him. Sometimes he would go to get a free room and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't have anything to comp tonight." So he would go sit down at a machine and just fucking unload 100,000 into it, like snap right now. So then he could go back up like, "Hey, I just spent $100,000 at this video poker machine, give me my free shit." So right now I'm going to play the clip. It's about 4 or 5 minutes of his brother explaining how Vegas had wronged him. He started off in Reno. He got chased out of Reno because he wasn't, why are you laughing?
It's just funny just getting chased out of Reno.
Yeah, by Dangle.
Right.
Some fucking cowboy boots. He got chased out of Reno because he wasn't, they were losing too much money on him. He was spending a lot of money and he was winning. They didn't like that, so then they chased him out of Reno.
Naturally.
Now he went to Vegas and he was getting fucked by Vegas. And this could have to do with his motive of why he committed the murders, but I don't think it has anything to do with it. But his brother explains how Vegas was shoving it right up his fucking ass.
He started in Reno because he was a much bigger fish in a littler pond. He'd say, here's $100,000. I'm going to play. And they'd say, "Okay, Mr. Paddock, here's a nice room for you," and blah, 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 blah. He was in the red double X, whatever they call their fancy shit club. He wasn't doing it to get any richer. He was doing it because you get to hang out in the hotel, and it's nice, and the people bring you drinks, and they bring you nice fat shrimps, and you get to eat in really good restaurants. The goal was to gamble effectively enough to pay for all that stuff so it didn't cost him anything. When he needed to burn points, he'd go to their store and buy a bunch of crap. You know, $350 sunglasses and $450 watches, and I'd get a box of shit. TVs would show up at my mom's house. He wasn't losing. If you aren't losing, you aren't a good customer. If you break even and you're spending their comps and eating in their restaurant, you're costing them money. If they are not making money on you, they fucking want nothing to do with you. And they pushed him out of Reno by just cutting off his comps and stuff.
He's been staying in Las Vegas since '06. So we're talking about 11 years. Frequent visitor, once or twice a month.
I've got a picture of Steve holding a $250,000 check signed by Steve Wynn. When Steve came in, they said, "Oh, we've got your room, Mr. Paddock." I've got texts from him where he goes, "They're calling my name for the 4th time. I'm sending Mary Lou up to get the shit." Because he got like 5 of the 6 things in the drawing for a car. And he had 3/4 of the tickets in the drum. That's how he played. When there was a reason to gamble is when Steve gambled. There were like 6 machines in Vegas that Steve would play. It had to pay out 98 point blah 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 % on a flush. It was an equation that had to come out the right number at the end. That's why they talk, "Oh, he would go sit at a machine and lock a machine." Well, of course he fucking would. He wanted the best machine in the place. You know, Steve would gamble when there were 3x points. They didn't make any money on him. So, what would they do? They would say, "Oh, well, we're sorry, Steve, but there's going to be 3x points tonight from midnight to 6, but fuck you. You don't get the 3x points." You cut a deal with somebody To be in their club, he had their highest level of comps because he gambled that much, and there's a list of shit that it says they will do for you. But of course, the little type at the bottom says we can fuck you at any time. They changed the deal. And then when they broke the deal, he was pissed.
He wasn't as successful in gambling as he had been in the previous years. A substantial portion of his wealth had diminished, and that could have been a contributing factor.
He was really, really angry with the gaming industry because they didn't play square with him. Steve gambled $1.6 million at the Mandalay in the week before he did this. And I've got the last 4 years of his W2Gs. I've got tax records that show that when he came in at the Mandalay and they wouldn't give him the room he wanted, he sat down and gambled $1 million so they'd give him the room he wanted. Las Vegas has billboards and happy shit they talk, blah, 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 that they don't want gambling addicts and they'll help you and blah, 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 blah. Okay? But they know with a push of a button exactly how much money Steve was gambling over the past 20 years.
So that's what his brother thinks. It's a very plausible thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard before the same thing where if you're winning too much, they're going to kick your ass out. They're going to drive you out.
But for someone that's so driven by money in the first place to fuck with his money like that,
yeah,
maybe not necessarily fucking with the money in his pocket, but to say, you know, just to cut him off from all that stuff. We'll get into...
It could definitely make him disgruntled.
Certainly.
Especially if you have an addiction like that.
Right. And there's absolutely no reason for me to go through his childhood, his high school, his college, whatever, all that shit. He had a dad growing up that he wasn't, I think he'd met briefly, but he wasn't very close to his father. His father was on the FBI's most wanted list at one certain time. He was a bank robber. It's said that his father was in deep with the Chicago mob. His father ran some small businesses, did some, I want to say, some illegal alcohol sales and whatnot, but he was closely related to the mob in Chicago.
Okay.
And towards some of the conspiracy theorists say that he wanted to be like his father. He wanted to kind of go out in a blaze of glory. Not necessarily how his dad went out. I don't remember how his dad died, but it was nothing like this, obviously. But his dad, they say, was a contributing factor to the quote, this is his quote, the mean streak that he had. But we're going to start with the timeline of that night. The Las Vegas shooting itself. Between 10:05 and 10:08 p.m., the gunman, Stephen Paddock, smashes 2 outside windows and begins firing on the crowd. A police dispatcher receives the first reports. During his shooting spree, he killed 58 people and injured around 900 people. Jesus. One frail, weathered, 64-year-old man did all that by himself. Right? Woo, let's get there. We're getting there, folks. This is the deadliest mass shooting performed by one single person in U.S. history. The initial thoughts were shots were coming from the Mandalay Bay on the north side, the Luxor, or inside the festival itself. There's a lot of people that thought that someone was walking around inside the festival itself discharging a firearm. That goes along with some of the other conspiracy theories that we'll touch on later. At 10:12 p.m., 2 officers arrived on the 31st floor and report gunfires coming from directly above them. 3 minutes later, at 10:15 p.m., gunfire ceases. No one, however, knows the shooting is over. 10:17 p.m., 2 minutes later, 2 officers and a hotel security officer arrive on the 32nd floor and approach the shooter's room. At 10:18 p.m., just 1 minute later, the gunman shoots through his suite door, hitting the hotel officer in the leg. This is the official timeline that the media is giving us. It gets ripped all to shreds. At 10:26 to 10:30 p.m., 8 more officers arrive on the 32nd floor and begin systematically clearing every room down the hall using a master key from the injured hotel officer. 10:55 p.m., the 8 officers reach the stairwell closest to the suspect's room. At 11:20 p.m., 25 minutes later, police set off a breach, an explosive charge to break down the door, and officers enter the room. They observe the shooter down on the floor and notice a second door they cannot access. 11:27 p.m., officers set off a second breach to access the second door. They see is empty. Officers report that the suspect is down. To say that this was his original plan, to touch on something else, he did reserve a room overlooking Lollapalooza in Chicago on August 17th. A month before, he stayed for this specific party, the Route 91 festival. He stayed at the Mandalay a month before this with Mary Lou, his whatever she is. She's like a domestic partner, essentially.
Yeah. His girlfriend, pretty much. She
told the police that he was absolutely obsessed with the windows and vantage points surrounding the hotel. So we have the security guard that's been shot in the leg. From this narrative right here, the official timeline from the media, he was shot in the leg when he was upstairs with the officers. God. Okay. 1 week after the shooting, Stephen Paddock's home was broken into and ransacked. His home in Mesquite, Nevada, was left completely unlocked by the police. Ransacked. No suspects, no one, arrested for it. And this is just the domino effect of several things that are not going to add up with the narrative that's been placed in front of us. So, simply put, he breaks the windows and he starts shooting down at people at the Route 91. And you've all heard it in the media before. He had several assault-style rifles, AR-15s, AR-10s, equipped with bump stocks. And if you're not familiar with a bump stock is, I didn't know what a bump stock was whenever this first happened. But a bump stock is an add-on to the bag. I'm going to say this is like I'm speaking to someone that
makes it fully automatic.
Right. Well, it uses the momentum of the recoil of the gun to make the gun act in a fully automatic capacity.
Yeah.
A few of the guns used were on tripods in the room. For him to spray bullets from up in the air, I would assume the best bet for accuracy would be for the guns to be on tripods.
Mm-hmm. But
to utilize a bump stock, it cannot be on a tripod. A bump stock has to be up against your body, and it can't be on a tripod.
Okay.
So right there is one big question.
Conflicting.
Very conflicting. But this guy had something around like 33 fucking guns in this room. Like 33 long guns. Or 32 long guns and a revolver. Some kind of crazy shit. The security guard in question, his name is Jesus Campos. Right after the incident, within days, mind you, he'd been shot in the leg. He just went to Mexico for a week or two. Out of nowhere, he was supposed to be on Ellen. He was supposed to be, getting investigated. Or not, he wasn't getting investigated. He was doing all these interviews with the police, with the FBI. In the middle of all this, within a week, he's on a plane heading to Mexico to visit family. The reports from the FBI and from the police department is he had this trip planned, and this is something that he, they said, we were fine with him going. He already had this paid for, and he had it planned, so we're going to let him go. I'm sorry, my fucking brain is going a million miles a second right now. There's so many different things to say. About a month prior to the shooting, he took a random trip to Mexico as well. For some people, that stinks of fish a whole lot, that he went to Mexico the month before, and then the week after he goes to Mexico as well. One thing that there was some money that changed hands here, not necessarily between Jesus Campos, but whenever Stephen Paddock went to Las Vegas to commit these acts, he put Mary Lou Danley on a plane, his girlfriend, and sent her to the Philippines, and then just wired her $150,000 cash. Wired it to her, said, buy a house for you, for your family, but yet she had no idea he was going to do this. She's not right now, the case is closed.
Mm-hmm.
The official report released from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police and the FBI, there's no motive, and he acted alone. This lady, fucking shell casings and bullets from the scene. They have her fingerprints on the bullets and the shell casings. That's but she told the police right up front. She said, "You're going to find my fingerprints on some of those." And they're like, "Wow, now what the fuck?" You know. And she's like, "I used to like to jack him off while he load bullets. That made him really hot." But she said that she would help him load bullets.
Okay. It was a bonding experience.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what woman just sits down with their husband and says, "We're going to load some goddamn bullets"? People that haven't had sex with their brothers and sisters before don't do that shit.
You know what time it is, baby. Don't you grab them magazines.
Yeah, grab one of these bullets right here. These old big old dangly giblets.
Giblets. I love that word.
So the biggest thing right now is we've got a security guard that's been shot in the leg, and he says, "I'm good enough to go to Mexico." But when he went down, when he radioed over, first he goes up to the 32nd floor.
Mm-hmm.
He gets called up for a door ajar alarm.
Okay.
So he gets up there and he goes to enter the floor, and the door that he was going to use to enter the floor is completely sealed shut. Not sealed shut, but there's something locking the door in place. So then he goes to another door. He goes up to the door that was locked shut, and he looks at the door, and Stephen Paddock had drilled an L bracket into the door to completely lock the door shut.
Okay.
This guy had fucking power tools, drills, all kinds of stuff inside. It wasn't just guns. He had everything.
He came prepared, fully prepared.
Well, fully prepared. And he had the door drilled shut. So then the security guard's like, "Well, what the fuck?" That's when they say Stephen Paddock had cameras set up on the room service cart, a dirty room service cart. Cat's down there eating stuff.
She's going wild.
That he had a camera set up there. He had a camera set up on his door, so he could see everything going on outside of his hotel room. And I went and looked at the crime scene photos. You think about little like pinhole, surveillance cameras, stuff you can't see. This guy had like fucking Logitech, the fucking
CCTV,
like the fucking webcams we had, like the UFO looking thing. He had that set up on the dirty cart out front, and it's the cheesiest looking thing ever, man.
You think they would have noticed this shit going down?
Like USB cables running down the hallway. He had a webcam set up on the room service cart with a fucking plate on top of it. It looked like Oscar the Grouch looking out of the trash can. That's what it looked like. And it's just sitting there. And he's got all this stuff wired up to monitors, and he had several computers inside the hotel room. The thing about these computers, all the fucking hard drives are gone. There were no content, no value to these computers at all. Nothing as far as the investigation goes. Just had some computers in there with no hard drives.
Just for display.
But he could see everything going on outside of his room, and that's when he allegedly fired through the door, shot through the door, and wounded the security guard, Jesus Campos.
Okay.
But when Jesus Campos was struck in the leg, he was shot in the leg, he calls out to the radio, over the radio, he says, "I've been shot by a BB gun or a pellet gun." This guy had fucking long rifles, revolvers.
He took the fuking bull like a champ.
That? Or is he a paid spokesperson for the U.S. government? He says, and I can just see, like, if it were a false flag, or it was, I don't want to call it a false flag, because people died that day.
Right.
False flags are when they say people died, no one dies. This was not a false flag. Loved ones and people the world needed died that day. He says that, sorry, I've completely lost my train of thought here. Whenever they signed him up for this thing, they're like, "All right, this is what we're going to have you do. You're going to go up there and you're going to stumble upon the shooter, and then and you're going to get shot in the leg." And he's probably like, no, senor.
So it's just like, they're just saying it was like premeditated type deal. It was planned out.
Well, he could have crunched up at the last second and said, "What am I getting fucking shot with?"
Yeah.
An AR-15? No, nah, fam, I'm good. Can we use a pellet gun or a BB gun?
Yeah.
But the photographic evidence does say that something big shot through the door. It wasn't a BB gun and it wasn't a pellet gun. But he recovered fine. I mean, he was okay. And I want to say there was a press conference where he had a cane, he had a bit of a limp, but for someone to take an AR-10 or an AR-15 shot to the leg and just be like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to be fine. I guess if it hits you in the meat,
yeah,
that would be one thing. So here's where it really sours for me. The guard was shot 6 minutes. He was shot 6 minutes before Stephen Paddock started opening up fire on the Route 91 festival.
And that's a long time.
It is a long time. And right off the get-go, and we've talked about this, there is just no motive. This guy, no clear, concise motive about what he was doing, why he wanted to do this. He was, and I'll touch on it a little later on, he was kind of, some people claim that he was kind of sympathizing with the right-wing movement with like Waco and Ruby Ridge. He was pretty upset about that stuff. Some say that he turned, turned into a radical Muslim the weeks leading up prior to that, because whenever this first happened, ISIS is like, yeah, that's us. We did that. And usually, it's not against the narrative for ISIS to take, shoulder the brunt of something like this.
They do that a lot.
Even if they weren't involved. There's sadness and casualties involved in America.
I think they took credit for the Boston bombing also.
Right. They said they did it. But my official documents that I'm submitting to the FBI, I'm ruling out ISIS.
Ain't good.
Yeah. We'll keep on eating bacon McGriddles like it's my goddamn job. That's what I'm going to do. So why is there no... So a lot of people that were there on the scene claim to have seen several different shooters. There's one clip I stumbled upon on the internets. Let me see if I did save that real quick. Regretfully, I did not download the video.
Nah.
But it's a montage, a lot of collaboration deal, a lot of different people, eyewitness accounts from that day. There's just like videos of people running through the crowd. And it's, raw footage of what's going on at the Las Vegas shooting. People running from the crowd, people giving the police just saying, this is what happened. As gunfire is like going off overhead, these people are saying, this is what I saw. This is what, there's one guy, he seems a little fucking drunk. People are like, oh, it's fucking, all the YouTube keyboard warriors, like, it's fucking goddamn shit's a government fucking cover up. And this guy's like, I was down through I was Jason Aldean. And there's a guy that walked in and started shooting. But he says there was someone at the north end that was walking through the crowd, just annihilating people. There's 5, maybe even 7 females that are running through the crowd. Different groups, different videos that are chopped up, and they all say it's coming from that helicopter. Dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people heard helicopters that night. There's people on the, doing Skype interviews with Inside Edition stuff. They're like, we heard helicopters that night. And people specifically describe military helicopters in great detail. There's like a big dome.
Like that they saw them?
Yes, that they saw and some of you even say they saw the flash coming from the helicopters up above.
Yeah, I was going to say the sound thing, that's one thing, because that could just be the reverberation of the shots bouncing off of buildings.
Well, there's one sound clip I have. Well, and it kind of goes with the narrative of the fact that there's more than one shooter. So when you hear these audio clips, you hear it's a cab that's right below Stephen Paddock. That's right at the bottom of the Mandalay Bay. Literally, the gun is 32 floors above him, hanging out the window, cracking off rounds. So the narrative we have here says that he shoots, this is what happened. He shoots the security guard in the leg, waits 6 minutes. Allegedly, during the 6 minutes, that's when he's got the hammer trying to bust out the windows, right, of the hotel room.
Right.
So he can start shooting down at the festival. this cab that's filming down below, and this is from an audio analysis. I'm not going to play the entire thing. It's like 15 minutes. But you can hear the gun hanging out the window. It's like crack, 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 crack. And you're hearing the echo in the distance.
Yeah.
But every time you hear the echo in the distance, you hear the raw, like crack, 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 crack. It's seconds. It's a second delay.
Yeah.
But then off in the distance, way off in the distance, you don't hear the crack, 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 crack. You just hear like there's a different gun, a different kind of gun coming from a different place that's not where and I'm just going to play it right now.
Okay.
So we're going to hear the raw footage of the gunfire up above. You're going to hear the echo, and then it's going to play like a distant shot of some type.
And if you're interested, here's the echo of those 8 shots. There's like 2 shots and then like 6 more shots.
So you can hear off in the distance. You hear the original one, like the crack, crack.
Yeah.
Then you hear the echoes. You hear like distant shots with echoes. But the Stephen Paddock shots you can hear up above. Like it's right above his head, you know.
Yeah, it's
snap,
right
snap,
there.
snap. And then you have those distant shots. So, the FBI commented on this. The police department commented on this. They said the shots you're hearing, those ones at the end, those faint, distant shots.
Yeah.
Those shots are when he's shooting through the door at the security guard. Flashback to our official timeline. He shot the security guard before he started shooting down at the people at the festival.
Yeah, which makes no sense at all.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But they tell us that those distant shots we hear, that's him shooting down the fucking hallway. Even though he shot down the hallway, wounded his victim, never shot at the police that were coming up, waited 6 minutes, busted out the window, then started shooting downstairs. The crack, 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 crack you hear is him shooting down at the people at the festival.
Mm-hmm.
That distant shot is what they say is him shooting down the hallway, but he shot down the hallway before he shot down at the festival.
There's no way. It's definitely one of two things. It's either going to be, like I said, the sound bouncing back, or it's going to be somebody else shooting.
Yeah. There's
only 2 other things. It can only be those 2 things.
Right. So for me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's not until just recently did they finally release footage of him moving throughout the hotel, of the days prior and all the things that he did leading up to this. There was a lot of uproar on the internet about him never being on film, because Vegas, every single centimeter of Las Vegas is under closed circuit television.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do anything in Vegas without being recorded. But then for months after this, there was just nothing, no video of him. And even to this day, no one can physically put a gun in his hand. Now there's so much misinformation about this thing. I don't know what to believe. There's some reports I read that said they didn't even find the gunpowder residue. I think the GBR or some shit, I can't remember what it was. When they did the autopsy, they found no gunpowder residue on the body that was recovered from 32-135, Stephen Paddock. What they say is Stephen Paddock.
You know what I want, Nick, more than anything?
Tell me, Rob.
I want my dick to work again.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because we're taking a quick second to stop to talk about Blue Chew for just a second. Our favorite sponsor. Just the other day, I took a couple Blue Chews. Actually, I took one Blue Chew as the doctor prescribed, and I was up all night with my wife. I went from 2 pump chump to Big Daddy dump. She had to take her to the hospital. She was dehydrated. She lost all of her fluids. We had to buy new sheets, flip the fucking mattress. We had to go get a new mattress. They gave her an IV of Gatorade. It's changed our life, Rob Dog. Where should they go if they want to grab some Blue Chew?
Well, they can go one of two places. They can either sneak into your room and get into your tighty-whitey drawer and grab your pills from under there. Or they can go to BlueChew.com, promo code BROHIO. You cover the $5 in shipping, and they will send you a package, making your package hard as a rock.
The first shipment is free, Rob?
Ooh, you cannot beat free.
And just like the color blue, it has the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Cialis and Viagra, but this stuff, a lot more affordable, goes a lot further. It gets into you faster because it's chewable.
It is prescribed online. You don't have to go to your family doctor and tell them that your dick is broken.
You gotta show them your dick's broken if it's broken.
You could show them if you want, but it eliminates that awkward factor, which is great.
Absolutely. And if you want to be King Kong Dong, just like Rob Diggity Dangle Dong and Delicious Nickalicious, go to BlueChew.com. Use the promo code BROHIO. That's BROHIO. Go to BLUE Chew.com. Let them know that Nick and Rob sent you. Get your first shipment free. We're happy to be teaming up with Blue Chew.
Absolutely.
We don't like blue balls.
No, not at all.
You're not going to have blue balls with Blue Chew.
No, you're not.
Who's that X-Man that's like shaped like a rock? He's just made of rocks or something like that.
Cockman.
That's what your dick's going to look like if you have Blue Chew. Go try Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
BlueChew.com. So that during the autopsy, they couldn't find any gunpowder residue on this guy at all. And completely omitted from the autopsy was the gunshot wound that he inflicted on himself to kill himself. I can't remember if he shot himself in the chest. I want to say he shot himself in the chest. But for some odd reason, I'm thinking it's a suicide. He possibly shot himself in the head. But ultimately, I think he shot himself in the chest. The mortal gun wound is completely omitted from the autopsy that was made available. So that absolutely, positively stinks like shit. And there's the story of the crazy woman running through the crowd, warning people 45 minutes before the shooting. She's screaming, "Everyone's gonna die! Everyone's gonna die!" I don't think that that really had anything to do with what happened here. I think that was just someone that was drunk and crazy in the crowd. So I'm kind of overlooking that. Some people read a lot into that, but drunk hillbillies at a country concert are gonna say things like that. You're gonna fucking die. People get emotional and drunk. They say things they don't mean. So I think we can chalk that conspiracy theory up to that. On September 11th, 3 weeks before, there was a 4chan user that predicted an event. It was an anonymous user that said, in the next few days, everyone in the Las Vegas area needs to stay inside. Don't go outside. You're going to put yourself in great danger. So there was that anonymous 4chan tip.
Yeah, I remember that. And FYI says he shot himself in the mouth.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was in the chest.
No. Oh, yep. There's definitely a picture. Yeah, it was definitely the mouth.
Okay, good. Very good. And like we said before, there's lots of witnesses that reported multiple shooters, and there was even people that went forward on their social medias and whatnot that reported multiple shooters, and we're going to get to them here in just a minute. But for me, a 64-year-old man took 400 pounds of guns, skids and skids of fucking ammo, and moved it back and forth from his house in Mesquite, Nevada, to this room. Please tell me why you're committing an act like this. Why you would need 33 guns.
That was my initial thought. It seems, and this is not in any way or shape or form a pun, but it seems completely overkill.
It absolutely is overkill.
Yeah.
You have two trigger fingers.
Yeah.
And this guy wasn't an excellent marksman. He wasn't a sniper. There's no military experience. He wasn't a fucking covert ops guy. Nothing. He was a fucking accountant. Okay. He just some guy that liked to gamble, but he had amassed these guns and all in the year leading up to this. He hadn't, been this crazy of a gun collector. And his brother even said that when there was the initial, they went to his house, his brother's house, when all this happened. They said, "What do you have to say about all this?" And his brother's like, I'm dumbfounded. You know, I don't know what to say. He had a safe with some guns in it, but really I have no idea what's happening here. We'll play that for you right now.
No. And I don't want to talk much more. This is all, once again, what I'm telling you is all part of the record. There's no, he has no police record. He doesn't even have parking tickets probably. This is...
How did you hear that he was...
We got phone calls. The Las Vegas PD were cooperating with the cops. We have talked to the PD. This is like you called me up and said, your next door neighbor did this. And I'd go, wow, my next door neighbor did that. All I've ever seen him do is mow his yard. The fact that my brother did this is, there's nothing. There's not even anything I can say. I mean, how do you... I mean, my brother did this. This is like it was done, like he shot us. I mean, if he'd have killed my kids, I couldn't be more dumbfounded. I mean, it doesn't...
So
there's nothing.
Last communication?
There's nothing.
After the hurricane?
I mean, I can show you the text. He said, how's mom? Did you get power? I mean, that was it. There's absolutely, we have nothing, like I said, we have nothing for you. I mean, I hope someone figures out. I mean, I live here. He lives we're not that close. I mean, we talk on the phone occasionally. He calls my mom and talks to her. There's no
mental health issues.
There's no there. Not that we know of. I mean, not an avid gun guy at all. The fact that he had those kind of weapons is just... Where the hell did he get automatic weapons? He has no military background or anything like that.
There's his brother right there saying, this is not him,
It took him way too long to silence that phone.
Yeah. And when I was listening to that, I'm like, man, turn that fucking phone off. I don't know how many times I heard that ringer and like my mom was trying to find me back in high school.
Right.
Bring your fucking ass home. I know you're getting your dick sucked right now.
That's the sound of a burner telephone.
You come home and get your dick sucked. No, Ma! Not again. Yeah. So his brother, obviously, a fucking Looney Tune, but he said this doesn't fit the mold for Stephen at all. This is not him. The guns, all this stuff. Now, the weeks leading up, he had carried, let's see here. Let me get down to it. He'd gotten 14 AR-15 rifles into the room. This is the week leading up. 8 AR-10s, a bolt-action rifle, and a revolver. In all, he had 22 suitcases brought to the room. Now, mind you, he's doing all this stuff allegedly by himself from Mesquite to Nevada, but then when he would get to the Mandalay Bay, from Mesquite to Las Vegas, when he would get to the Mandalay Bay, he would have the what are they, fucking bellhops or some shit? I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
They would carry the shit up for him and take it inside for him. Little did they know that he was unloading. They were helping aid in one of the bloodiest massacres in U.S. history. Now, the police, when they entered the room, they said that it was just like a bad movie, just the worst movie you'd ever seen in your entire life. There was haze from all the gunpowder, even though it's said that during his autopsy, there was no gunpowder found on him. The lights were flashing from the smoke alarms, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
And the police officers, just a few days after the attack, they went on 60 Minutes and they gave an interview about what they saw when they entered the room, when they breached the door and when they went in. One other sticky thing about when they went in. So whenever you enter the room, it's a suite right at the corner of the Mandalay Bay. And he also had the room next door to it, 134 or whatever. And when you check into hotels like that, there's like a room and there's a door that separates the rooms, and you can open up that door and you can pass from room to room.
Yeah, yeah.
When they got into Stephen Paddock's room, The door to 134 was locked.
Okay.
Even though the window was busted out over there. The door was locked from the 134 side.
Okay.
So how...
As if someone in 134 had locked it and busted out the window.
Which goes into my second thought. This guy, he's got, 33 guns or whatever. He's busted open 2 different windows with the exact same view of the Route 91 festival. The exact same vantage point.
Yeah, you from one room to another next door, you're not going to get much more of a difference.
No. He had all the calculations written down for the different trajectories, where he needed to aim. He had all the mathematics worked out on a notepad that the police recovered inside the room. He had all that stuff worked out. But he had 2 different windows. And some people are like, well, it would make it faster to switch back and forth. I'm like, no, because even when you emptied one clip on one side and then you go the other side and empty that clip, then you still have to reload 2 guns. It doesn't really make it any.
Yeah, not only
faster.
that, but I mean, at the most, I mean, I would assume that 15, 20 feet apart. I mean,
presumably something.
When you're up that high, looking over that vast of a landscape, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. If you're using it as 2 different vantage points,
they say one of the guns had a bump stock and a scope mounted to it. You're not using a scope with a fucking bump stock. You're pulling the trigger and you're praying you hit whatever you're aiming at.
You're spray and pray.
You're not using a fucking sniper scope on a bump stock rifle. So why was the door locked? They had to breach that door to get into that side. And why were there 2 different windows busted out? That's my question. There's, some really hoaxy videos that are slowed down on YouTube, and it shows muzzle flash coming from both holes. Mm-hmm. That can be easily fabricated, which I think could possibly be the case for those videos, or just maybe some odd reflections,
Yeah.
But still, it doesn't soothe my brain when I'm thinking about why there needed to be 2 different holes opened up with the acts that he was committing and the time that he needed. I mean, he knew the police would be at his fucking door within minutes.
Oh, definitely.
And he took 6 minutes after he shot the security guard. Took 6 minutes to bust these windows open. I would think that once you got one window open, that would probably be presumably enough. But now I'm going to play the clip from the police officers, the team that made the first sweep into the bedroom with him. These guys are smiling the entire time while giving these accounts. They're laughing, they're nodding their heads, they're looking away, they're not making eye contact. It goes along with, I'm not calling these guys liars.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like they're not concerned about all the victims that were affected by this. The one guy starts giving his account. He's just like, yeah, there's, and he's laughing. I mean, I can't, obviously we're a visual, we're an audio-based media form right here. We can't show you the smiles, but you can get on there and check it out yourself. But I am going to play this clip of the police officers that first entered Stephen Paddock's room that night.
What do you see?
An armory.
An armory.
So many guns, so many magazines, stacks and stacks of magazines everywhere, just in suitcases, all neatly stacked against pillars that were in the room, all stacked up, rifles placed all throughout, all kinds of monitors and electrical equipment he had in there. It just looked like almost a gun store.
Shell casings all over the floor. I could smell the gunpowder.
This guy's smiling.
It went off in the room. So we were tripping over guns, tripping over long guns inside. There were so many.
That many?
Yes.
My initial scan with coming in the room with my rifle is just I'm seeing one male down, bleeding from the face. He was not a threat, kept going.
You said one male down. That was the shooter?
Yes.
Stephen Paddock. What were his wounds?
I didn't see any apparent wounds to his head, but I did see a lot of blood that had come out of his mouth.
Well, there was a bloody revolver, I think, nearby him that was on the ground, consistent with him shooting himself.
What else did you see?
I saw a few phones, laptops, a couple of laptops he had in there, a lot of drills.
Yeah, and drill
a lot of
bits,
drills and
tools.
drill bits, all kinds of tools.
This was eerie.
Very eerie. The dust from the explosive breach, and then you got the flashing lights. I mean, it looks straight up like out of a movie.
Paddock had...
Okay, the one guy said, the officer said, I think there was a revolver by his head. You responded to one of the biggest fucking massacres to ever happen in the history of this country. It's like the guy that shot bin Laden. There's no detail that guy's ever going to forget about that night.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Whenever I worked at the police department, I remember a time we went to a animal abuse case.
Mm-hmm.
It hit me hard, and I remember the smell. I remember the steps. I remember the way my fucking boots were tied that day. I remember what the thermostat was set on in the apartment. I remember the refrigerator was open. I remember thousands of things about this, something like this that stuck with me. But this guy says, I think there was a revolver by his head. And the entire time, they all just got like smirks on their face. And you hear the guy in the beginning, he says, it's like when your mom says, you don't want to go to school. And your mom says, are you feeling okay? And you're like, I'm so sick. I'm so sick. She's like, all right, stay home today. This guy's like, there were so many guns. Just like like someone wound him up and just let him go. Like he's some kind of stupid fucking robot or something.
Sound like Kevin from The Office. There was so many guns.
Yeah. And that's what they sound like. They're all just like smirking the entire time. And he says, I think there was a revolver by his head. And there's nothing that you would forget about that night. That is the...
I mean, even if, not even that, like the fact that they said that the guy asked if he said something about if he shot himself, he's like, well, there was blood coming from his mouth.
You just saw the picture.
Yeah, you can tell that he shot himself in the face. I mean, the thing is if you're going in there and you're evaluating a situation and you see a room... And this is, a law enforcement standpoint. If you see a room full of guns and you see the potential perp in that room down, you're going to check to make sure he's dead.
Exactly.
If he's down, you're going to check to see if there's a gunshot wound. You're going to make sure that there's nobody else.
And there was a reported accidental discharge of a 3-round burst while the officers were, sweeping the hotel room. He had bulletproof vest and he had a breathing apparatus like he had planned to make a huge exit. But this guy, Stephen Paddock, the weeks and months prior to this, he paid off all of his debts. He caught up all of his gambling debts, his personal debts. Everything was paid off. His credit cards. If I know that I'm going to commit this act, I can't even put myself in the mindset to think about doing something like this. But to think about one of my concerns being paying off my credit card debt. I'm 31 right now and I'm not fucking concerned about my credit card debt.
Fuck those credit card debts.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could possibly think that he could be thinking of in that situation is that he would maybe be trying to make sure that those debts don't get passed on to his...
To who?
To his wife or girlfriend or whatever the fuck she is.
She was nothing.
But I know, yeah, but...
She was a girlfriend. And
right.
He didn't have kids. He had nothing.
If they were... I don't know how it works with like domestic partnerships, like if they're considered... how that works with law.
Right.
Unless he was just trying to cross his T's and dot his I's.
And he almost seemed like he could have possibly been one of those kind of guys that just didn't want to leave any unfinished business.
Yeah.
But he left nothing
But it's still odd.
Behind. He had done some Google searches that they caught up on, like, I think one of his Google searches was do police use bombs or some shit like that?
What?
Yeah. But he was kind of concerned about, I think it seemed like he might have been concerned about the backlash, what he would face ultimately whenever he committed these acts.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone to have a bulletproof vest, 33 guns, breathing apparatus, just to say, no, I'm just going to fucking kill myself.
That's yeah. If he had planned on doing this and then killing himself, why bother the bulletproof vest?
Yeah, and the police, they flip-flopped during this. After all this happened, they first said he started shooting down the festival, and then he shot the security guard. But then they circled back and they said, no, wait. He shot the security guard and then busted out the windows, and then he started shooting down at the festival. So the police changed their official narrative at that point.
Which, once, like we talk about in a lot of different cases, it isn't uncommon.
No, it's not. But just there's so much fucking shit covering in this story.
Yeah.
One woman submitted a handwritten testimony, says that days before the shooting, she overheard Stephen Paddock discussing the 25th anniversary of Ruby Ridge and Waco. But he was with people in this restaurant. He was with one guy or two guys, and she says she overheard them talking about, all the atrocities and all the different things that pissed them off about the government. Another man, himself currently in jail, says he met Paddock 3 weeks before the shooting for an abortive firearms transaction in the car park of a Bass Pro Shop. The man was selling us schematic diagrams for an auto sear, a device that would convert semi-automatic weapons to fully automatic fire. Paddock asked him to make the device for him, and the man refused. At this point, Paddock launched into a rant about, quote, anti-government stuff, FEMA camps.
Oh, God.
Paddock said the evacuation of people by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, after Hurricane Katrina was a dry run for law enforcement and military to start kicking down doors and confiscating guns. Somebody has to wake up the American people and get them to arm themselves, the man says, Paddock told him. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. Now, this is a story submitted online from a girl that was at the Route 91 festival.
Mm-hmm.
Says, this is her story. She says, we were rounding some sort of corner maybe, and I looked to the right, and I saw this large cowboy sitting down with his legs spread, holding a blood-soaked woman. I thought to myself, we need to hide. But as I looked quickly for somewhere to go, the gunfire once again got closer and closer. We couldn't hide because they, and I do mean they, big words right there, I do mean they were chasing us. That exact moment is when I started to really panic. That is the exact moment in which I thought this was it. I was going to die. I was never going to see my family again. So as we were running, we approached this fence where the men are throwing women over, and we ran up to it as they had knocked it down. So we were able to get out. As we crossed the threshold of the venue, my mind went straight to the other mass shootings and hearing the victims' families in my head talk about how they never got to say goodbye. I didn't want this for my husband, who was at work, and my grandma, who had my daughter Scarlett. So at 10:07 p.m., I called my husband, frantically leaving him a voicemail, telling him that I loved him and was in the middle of a shooting, and I wasn't sure if I would make it out alive. Next, while still running, I called my grandma to tell her the exact same thing. But the gunfire wasn't stopping this whole time. It wasn't ceasing, it wasn't slowing down, and it was directly behind us, following us. Bullets were coming from every direction, behind us, in front of us, to the side of us, but I just know that there was someone chasing us. The entire time I felt this way. The farther we got from the venue, the closer the gunfire got. I kept looking back, expecting to see the gunmen, and I say men because there was more than one person. There was more than one gun firing, 100% more than one. As we were running, we kept changing directions because it felt like no matter what direction we took, we were being followed. God.
That's wild.
It is wild. And that kind of goes along with the thought process that there was potentially some helicopters involved.
Okay.
I can't say that for sure, but whenever someone that's never been in a situation like that to be thrust into something like that, I could see them losing their marbles a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting fucked up and saying, I feel like bullets are coming from every direction. But on the other hand,
especially with, the sound bouncing around and everything, it's going to sound like bullets and surround sound pretty much.
It will. And with the amount of ammo he had up there, theoretically, it probably would have felt like bullets were coming from every direction.
Yeah, definitely.
But the one thing about, you're going to you're going to seek refuge. You're going to get behind a barricade, something to block you. And at that point, you're on the other side of a concrete wall or something. You're not going to be faced with any more gunfire at that point. But this girl's saying that even when she was hiding, she was still being chased with gunfire. So if you've stuck around this long, an hour and 12 minutes, this is where it gets really fucked up. So first, we're gonna touch on John Beelman. John Beelman, he was questioned. This guy was off in New York City when all this shit happened, nowhere even close to Las Vegas. John Beelman, he was questioned by the FBI the day after the shooting, and a search warrant was issued and performed at his home in New York. He had a 27-year-old disabled daughter that was suffering from Rett syndrome. Authorities discovered a cell phone charger during the investigation of the shooting. There was a cell phone charger found in the room, so he had several cell phones, but this cell phone charger did not go to any of the cell phones that he had. This was not a normal cell phone charger. This was there was no accompanying phone to go with the charger. Like I said before, the charger is used to power a CP502 520 3.0 volt lithium-ion non-rechargeable thin cell battery. That sounds like a mouthful, but to dumb that down, this is the same battery that's used by U.S. Special Forces and other government covert government communication devices. So I guess this is a cell phone charger that goes with a certain cell phone that doesn't primarily get recharged. So why would you have that doesn't make sense to me that there's a cell phone charger that goes to a cell phone that doesn't get recharged. But it's
really weird.
Specifically linked to this phone that's used by covert government operations. It's something, someone like Stephen Paddock would not have in his arsenal for whatever reason. Now, this cell phone charger is produced by a New York company called Ultralife Corporations. They make military-grade communication devices for the Pentagon. The lead development engineer on this project was reported to be John Beelman, the guy we're talking about. His LinkedIn profile actually had him working at Ultralife. The day after they issued the search warrant, John Beelman took his daughter outside to the back of the backyard, shot her, executing her with a 12-gauge shotgun, turning the gun on himself, and blowing his own brains out. The day after the search warrant was executed.
So obviously he knew he was in some shit.
What shit, though?
I know. That's...
What? Why? What? I mean, it's just
he would have had to have some type of a hunch that he did something in order to.
And he left a note behind for his wife. His wife was inside. The police had to come tell his wife, like, "Hey, he shot himself in your backyard," because she did not know that he did this in the backyard. It didn't make enough noise for her to realize what was going on. The neighbors heard it, but inside, she's like, "Oh, I didn't hear it. I don't know what's going on." But he took his disabled daughter outside, murdered her, turned the gun on himself, and killed himself.
Man.
What secrets they took to the grave with them, I'm not necessarily sure. But if that's one of the things about this story that fucking jumps out and says, what in the fuck is going on here? Then we move on to Dennis and Lorraine Carver. Both were at the Route 91 concert the night of the event, when shooting suspect Stephen Paddock began firing off rounds from his hotel room in the Mandalay Bay. Dennis Carver thought he was hearing fireworks. Once he realized what was going on, he shielded his wife's body with his own, keeping her safe from the flying bullets. Quote, this is what she put on her Facebook. "We're safe. Prayers for us all," Lorraine wrote in 2 separate Facebook posts after the shooting. Then she goes on to say, "I think the shooters have gone." So she's publicly...
So she assumed that there was multiple.
Right. "I think the shooters have gone." During the shooting, Dennis lost his cell phone that was full of pictures and videos from that night. Somehow, the FBI came into possession of the cell phone. It took the FBI 3 weeks to return the phone. There was many accounts of people having their cell phones taken that night, and the phones were wiped by agents that were working the scene. The cell phone is not even the tip of the iceberg here.
I'd be pissed first off.
This
deleting
couple,
my shit.
Right. I got some really good look. I got, sometimes you get out of a hot shower and you work up a really good chub. Sometimes you get that. There's like that time where like you get like a chubby and it looks like your dick's bigger than an actual boner. It's really a fantastic time for a picture.
Your sack actually doesn't look like prunes.
Yeah. Fluff it up real good.
Yeah. Nice and stretchy.
So you would think these people got their cell phone wiped. That's bullshit. That's fishy. Well, Dennis and Lorraine Carver that they're speaking about, just a few days after the concert, their car suddenly veered off the road outside of their home, crashing into a gate, exploding into a fireball in impact, killing both of them instantly. A spokesman for the local fire authority said it took firefighters over 1 hour to extinguish the blaze. I've seen car fires before, Rob Dog.
They do not fire up like that.
Not a fucking fireball like that.
Right.
And they had 2 surviving daughters. I believe they weren't involved in the accident, but the accident was so close to their house, they heard the collision and ran outside and ran down to the crash scene and saw that it was their parents' vehicle that was involved in it, but they were already gone at that point. It was the car burst into a giant fireball. 2 people that had come forward and said, "Hey, there was more than one shooter. We were being shot at by shooters." Their fucking car burst into a fireball in front of their own house. If that doesn't stink like shit, and the thing is, this stuff is so far. I weeded out some stuff that I couldn't confirm.
Right.
I could confirm this. I did my own research. I found this. There's one story of a guy that he'd come forward about multiple shooters and then he just vanished. He's just gone now. So then I get on Snopes.com and they say, no, he's still around. He's still talking on his Facebook. I go look him up on Facebook. 150 fucking Facebook pages. Not, you can go to a Facebook page and you see like, this is the guy's Facebook page. Mm-hmm. They were all scattered posts, random pictures.
All these people are getting Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I didn't even put that guy in here. Then there's the next one of Dennis Contreras. In the same week, the Carvers died. I'm sorry, maybe they called him Danny as well. I don't know. Mr. Contreras, an eyewitness Las Vegas shooting survivor who publicly claimed that there were multiple shooters involved in the attack, had been found dead in an empty house in Las Vegas with multiple gunshot wounds. His body was found in a vacant home in Northeastern Valley after a neighbor heard a man groaning inside the building and called 911. Police say Contreras was dead when they arrived at the 5800 block of East Cary Avenue near North Nellis Boulevard. The woman who called the emergency services to the scene says she didn't hear any gunshots, but the coroner confirmed that Danny Contreras, 35, died of multiple gunshot wounds and ruled his death a homicide. Mr. Contreras tweeted the day after the attack saying he was lucky to be alive after he was chased by 2 gunmen. His social media post from his Twitter account, which has since been suspended by Twitter, that shared several times said, "Feeling icky to be alive. Can't believe I got out of the concert alive. 2 men chasing me with guns. Not everyone so lucky." So he was feeling lucky, not icky in the beginning. Sorry there. Can't read his broken text.
That's just how it's typed.
Yeah.
Feeling icky.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling icky.
Yeah, that's definitely, it seems to be a common occurrence.
They just find him in a vacant house. Someone that says, "I was chased by 2 gunmen." He's just found in a vacant house dead for no reason.
No gunshots heard.
None heard.
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Come on, Rob. I've told you, dude, this stuff had me up. And this isn't even the last one. Kimberly Suchamel. I don't know. She's no longer with us.
There's a lot of Y's in her first name. I can see that much.
Kimberly went public with claims of witnessing multiple gunmen and was determined to prove the mainstream narrative is wrong. She even announced plans to set up a survivors group to shine a light on the truth about what happened in Las Vegas and expose the lies. According to Kimberly, the Las Vegas shooting was carried out by multiple gunmen who were chasing people down in the crowd and shooting them. Her post on Facebook quickly went viral as it confirmed what many had already suspected, The mainstream media, quote, official narrative that Stephen Paddock was a lone wolf gunman was false. Less than 1 week after she gave this account, Kimberly was found dead at her house in Apple Valley, California. She had a fucking seizure while she was sleeping and passed away. With no prior history of seizures.
Shit.
Takes you to Orville Allman describing meetings with him. He was the attorney for the Route 91 festival. He was also the acting attorney for Jason Aldean. He had some private conversations that were made public where he expressed that the meetings with MGM, the Las Vegas police, and the FBI is, quote, incredibly strange and complex. And he sent these messages to his friend. But eventually, I think he put these on this public Facebook page, and they were eventually made private. There was multiple Facebook threads about how, you know, his concerns about how just weird these meetings with the police department and the FBI were. There was also, he was upset about the FBI and the police department just saying, hey, we're not doing any more press about this. And that's kind of what the police department did. They dropped it, man. They just stopped talking about it. For one of the bloodiest massacres ever in American history, for to just stop hearing about it. You would expect like weekly updates on this stuff, and it kind of stopped.
I remember it seemed as like it vanished from the news almost, you know, as quick as it happened.
Yes. Now he was found dead at his home after suffering a seizure during his sleep, the same cause of death as Kimberly Suckamel. So you have essentially 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 5, 6 people, whatever, that had publicly proclaimed that there was more than one gunman, that there was multiple gunmen, or people with inside information on the, I guess, the workings that were going on between the FBI, MGM, and Las Vegas. To this day, yeah, that's right. To this day, MGM and the Las Vegas Police Department will not publicly say at what point the hotel called the police for help. They will not disseminate that information for whatever reason. They're withholding that. They won't release it to the public. They will not say when the police department received the call from the hotel requesting assistance.
And that's typically something that's public information.
Very public.
Yeah.
Super public. There's no reason to withhold that information.
Unless some fuckery was afoot.
Oh, some huge fuckery.
Yeah.
And there was also an article I read up on, this is in relation to the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, where they're calling it $24 million of hush money, where there's money allotted by the state that's given to the victims, but the state boards get to control the money. And apparently the research these people are performing, they're finding out that this $24 million hasn't gone to the victims at all. It's all been funneled to police officers related to the incident. First responders of that day are receiving this information, are receiving these funds for, I guess, PTSD type stuff, just to help them get better. And it's not going to the people affected, the people that were actually hurt that day. I don't think any police officers were hurt that day. I'm sure there was some, I don't know if there was any police officers shot. I'm sure there were some police officer injuries of some type, but that money has been, the $24 million has been going to them, and it hasn't been going to the victims. Ooh. Yeah. And then
it stinks.
It does. And then according to a Radar Online, a prostitute they interviewed said that one prostitute that Stephen liked a whole bunch, he liked her a lot, quote, there's messages where Stephen is telling her he's a government experiment and that they are listening to everything he says and does, and they can hack into his brain and take over.
Manchurian Candidate,
MK Ultra.
Yep.
The prostitute in question, the one they're talking about that shared the messages, was reported missing by her boyfriend the days after the shooting. So she's fucking gone. She's vanished. Okay. And this prostitute went on to tell other girls that she was scared that something was going to happen to her. This goes along the same lines as the Unabomber. I didn't know anything about Ted Kaczynski and the Unabomber, but he was deeply, deeply entrenched in government mind experiments, psychological experiments. And Stephen Paddock goes on to tell this prostitute that this is what it happened to him as well. He was also, there was another girl that came forward. It might have been this was a different girl. She said that he was a very violent guy, that anytime that she was booked by him, that she knew that she would be role-playing violent rape fantasies all night long. But that's how he got down, is he liked to do violent fucking rape fantasies.
Okay. Hey. No kink shaming, man.
Jesus Christ, man. Oh, God. Now, another thing that stinks really bad is the MGM CEO, James Murren, who sold 80% of his company's stock in the month preceding the shooting. Murren and other MGM officers were selling their stock after MGM Resorts International had initiated a $1 billion share repurchase program on September 5th. Not only were the MGM owners selling off their own stock, but George Soros took out a put option for $42 million, betting MGM shares would fall in price.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little foreshadowing.
Sold off all of the stock, almost all of it.
80%. That's a big chunk.
And there's one video on YouTube. I don't even need to play the audio. It's just all visual stuff. A guy that got a room a day after the shooting, and he's videotaping the shooting he's videotaping the crime scene cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how familiar you are with crime scene cleanups, but if your family member shoots themselves, the police department, they're not going to hang around and mop up your fucking floor.
No, it's not the police department, right?
Fire department's not going to hang around and clean your fucking curtains for you. You got to call a hazmat team, a professional crime scene cleanup team. This guy is filming from his hotel at the MGM. Nothing, the festival grounds, completely empty. So you have all these booths. It's a super concert. You got, bar booths set up. You got merchandise tents. All this stuff is still set up. It takes hundreds of people to do all this stuff, to set up all this stuff and tear all of it down. The next day, none of these people are around. The only people on the festival grounds, and this guy's filming. Sorry, my dogs are up there barking. The only people on the grounds are the FBI, and they're mopping up floors. They're scrubbing pavement. They're patching fucking gun holes. They got hazmat suits up to their waists, rubber boots on, blue FBI shirts, FBI hats. There's guys in FBI shirts out there scrubbing pavement.
It's definitely out of the ordinary. Definitely out of the ordinary.
So?
Yeah.
That would never happen, ever.
No.
There's a crime scene cleanup in Las Vegas that would be licking their chops to take that. We'll take this off your hands for $1.2 million. We'll have it cleaned up in a day and a half. Everything will be back to normal.
Now we got the FBI doing it.
Yeah, sure. Tear your tents down, tear your booths down. You can do that around us while we clean all this stuff up. No, we call them carnies. There's no one around doing anything. No tents tearing. Everything's still set up. But the FBI is out there with scrub brushes, rubber boots, mop buckets, scrubbing the pavement, patching holes on shit, repainting shit.
Yeah, it's definitely not right.
It doesn't. It screams
fuckery.
Pile of shit. And like we said before, the official release at the end here is that Stephen Paddock had no motive. He acted alone. We have more questions than we have answers.
Yeah.
And I try to tell you, this stuff kept me up, man. That it was bothering me. There's so much just weird stuff going on, and it was going to be hard to make it a funny episode, serious episode. But I feel like we got a lot of information out there, but it doesn't settle anything for me. That's what's so unsettling for me, is that nothing is settled, I guess that's why it would be unsettling, because nothing is settled.
Yeah, that makes complete sense there. Yeah, It definitely seems as if there's something else going on.
One of the biggest things for me, the 2 windows.
Right.
There didn't need to be 2 windows.
Not at all. The 6 minutes thing is kind of
6 minute thing. And why MGM and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, why they're saying, we can't tell you what time MGM reached out for help.
The second he said something about being shot should have been,
Fucking think so. But he said he was shot with a BB gun or a pellet gun. So they might say, it's just some kids up there fucking off. We're going to send our goon squad up there, Hey, notice you got you putting your chips awful high over here. Who's going to see what's going on while you stacking your chips so fucking high?
A lot of fucking cameras in here.
You hit this right here. We're going to take you in the back. We're going to break your fucking legs. You're going to be wearing kneecaps where your fucking asshole was. You're going to be wearing assholes on your face. Your boyfriend's going to have to fuck your face if he wants to fuck your asshole. I'll let my boyfriend fuck my face. It's fine.
Or my asshole.
Mm-hmm. So let's round it out with a funny email we got this week.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of this person. Okay.
It's not in there.
So I think in one episode I asked.
Yeah. There's a name at the bottom.
One episode I asked if you ever had your dick sucked by a crackhead. I also asked for Ouija board and bedbug stories. This is an all-encompassing story.
All right.
He says,
full circle.
I'm writing you. I gotta get into my part here. What I think this guy sounds like.
Channel it.
I'm writing you about your request for bedbug stories from your February 11th broadcast about Ouija boards. I had an infestation of bedbugs brought on by playing with the Ouija board when I was 14 years old and living in Fallon, Nevada. My friend Skidmark and I were in the back of his dad's cantaloupe shack, having just finished humping some slightly overripe heart of gold melons. As an aside, sticking my teenage beef whistle into the wet, slightly past fresh flesh of a rejected cantaloupe counts among the sexual highlights of my life. And he pulled out a Ouija board from underneath some melon crates.
So good.
We decided that we wanted to call up a demon from hell to possess the pile of cantaloupes behind us, transform it into a hot hell bitch that we could hump all day. All day.
Why does that sound like a Beavis and Butthead episode?
Transform itself into a hot hell bitch that we could hump all day and night to Winger's greatest hits. But that didn't happen. The moment we offered our souls to the devil for a hot hell bitch, all these bed bugs came crawling out from the pile of cantaloupe we just molested and infested our bodies. We didn't know what to do, as we were scratching at our pimple-ridden bodies a little more than normal, and after a couple of bites, all the bed bugs wanted to do was lay eggs in our greasy hair. So Skidmark took a giant dump on the board, and then we went home. That proved to be a mistake. The demonic bed bugs immediately infested our houses. My mom threw every bed we owned out the window of our homes. We had 2 windows left in my house, so my mom ended up throwing our family dinner through both of them because she was that mad and because she messed up the meatloaf. Skidmark's mom burned their home down, tied Skidmark, his dad, and his older brother to some trees with baling wire, and took off for the girl lock to drink herself into a ditch.
Oh, Mom.
Uh-oh. My mom ended up fisting a skunk for its scent glands and then carpet bombed our house. That drove the bed bugs out into our neighbor's house, and after that, we didn't give a fuck. That's my story about bed bugs. Counseling's made me a better man now. Thank you for all the work you do, and I'm looking forward to listening to the episode about the torture mansion. Dan, the I stand up and white man.
Amen, brother.
Oh, God damn. That's a fun one right there, right?
That's a good one. I like that. Good job. Good job, Dan, the I stand and white man.
So what do you think's the official narrative for Las Vegas shooting?
Tons of fuckery. 0 out of 10 would have wanted to attend.
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on.
Undoubtedly. And like I said, it hurts my heart and my soul to think about the people that were there, what they went through. The people that had people there. My heart goes out to them. I don't like covering stuff like this. As you may know, we got taken off Spotify for about 4 days last week. Why? We don't know. We still haven't received an answer.
We do know.
We do?
Yeah, we got a voicemail about it.
Oh, okay. That's right. Should we play that right now?
Yeah.
All right. We have a voicemail explaining why we were taken off of Spotify. Let's get that. Let's
Get that
roll
queued
that
up.
Yep. All right. You ready, Rob Dog?
I'm ready.
All right.
Hello, ladies. It's your boy, Dan Brown. So I saw this
jerk
number on the inside of a porta shitter, and it said, call Brohio if you've ever cried during sex. Now, I've never had sex, per se, but I once did fornicate with a grapefruit, and I think that's the same. Now,
I agree.
I know you guys haven't heard from me in a while, but recent events have crossed our paths once again, and let me tell you how. The other day, while I was listening to the Joel Osteen podcast on my iPod Nano,
oh no,
I happened to see that you released an episode on Madame LaLaurie, and I assumed, as everything you guys do, it was going to be a disappointment. Kind of like the first time that I fingered my anus and found that Cheeto that I had lost a year before.
He found a Cheeto in his butt.
Anywho, I contacted the fine folks at Spotify
oh no,
and let them know of this horrendous abomination of a podcast called the Ohio Podcast. Yeah, you actually heard right. Bro-hio. More like no-hio.
No-hio, I get it.
Pretentious dick.
You see what I did there, boys? That was clever. You guys are dumb, and of course they agreed with me and promptly removed you from their streaming services. So I'm so glad they listened to my message, and now as I sit here in my smoking jacket and skid-mark-lined Fruit of the Looms,
oh no,
a single tear of joy streams down my wiener. You guys suck.
Damn it, Dan.
I rule. Nana, nana, boo-boo. Eat Dan Brown's doo-doo.
What an asshole.
Jesus Christ, Dan. Fucking asshole.
What is wrong with him?
You guys never heard Dan Brown before. That's Dan Brown.
Yeah, he's our number one enemy.
He is. He got us taken off Spotify for a few days.
What a piece of shit.
The Brohio Nation rose up.
Yeah, man.
They said, we ain't gonna let them take our boys down.
Said, fam.
We gotta go to church. And we go to church, we listen to Brohio. We gotta bring it back up. We gotta raise them from the dead. So they wrote emails, tweets, filed customer complaint tickets, opened fucking Spotify chats.
Sent pictures of dog wieners.
Sent red rockets, lipsticks.
Yeah.
Sent them all. Put them all in there. And we're back on Spotify.
Amen.
Where are we getting taken down from this week for doing the Las Vegas shooting? Probably everywhere.
Oh, man.
My wife's like, do you ever wonder about them coming to our house and fucking killing us?
I was just thinking that. Like, if we...
Yeah, I think about that a lot.
Hopefully this doesn't happen.
Hopefully I don't get killed this week. Who knows?
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for sticking around. This is a long episode.
It was fun. Yeah.
Oh, we've done longer. That's what she said. Hour and 41.
Oh, yeah. That's not too bad.
Not too shabby. Thanks again, guys. We love you so much.
We love you.
Next week, we're going to be covering animal reproductive organs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've waited so long.
Yeah. So have I. So.
All right. Love you guys. Thanks.
Love you.